So Jane is here, I think, Professor Jane Murphy. She's our next speaker. And we're very grateful to Jane because she's one of our board and she gives us so much advice and time. So thank you for that. And today she's going to be talking about nutritional interventions for now malnourished older people in care homes.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you for your very kind introduction. I'm hoping that Mary Hickson might be joining me. I can't see her on the panel yet, but she may or may not sort of join me, and I'll explain why in a moment. If I can just share my screen, Leslie.
Yes. Yep, that's good.
You see that's okay?
Yes, that's fine.
So having heard fantastic talk from Lexi, and thank you, Lexi, I really enjoyed your talk, hearing about, with a focus on care homes, hearing about how we can support people living with dementia. I suppose quite nicely leads into what I'm going to be talking about here. And really, the purpose of the sort of next sort of 5-10 minutes or so is just to raise awareness of a really exciting new study that myself and Professor Mary Hickson are going to be starting in January, and we're already doing the sort of workup for this really exciting trial. It's called the Refresh trial, and that's an acronym for Nutrition Interventions for Malnourished Older Adults in care homes. But what I'd like to do first of all is just to provide some background to this trial and why this is happening and why now. So, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, we've got a lot of older people, something like over 360,000 older people living in care homes. And a large proportion of those older people, around 80 or so percent, have multiple long-term conditions and have complex care needs. So it can be quite challenging for care providers to meet those needs. We've just heard a lot about how we can support people living with dementia, but those people with dementia might also have sort of frailty, but also maybe other sort of long-term conditions, type 2 diabetes, respiratory sort of conditions. So very sort of complex and quite challenging for the environment, and related to how we support people in their nutrition. You're also hearing a lot today and during this amazing Malnutrition Awareness Week about malnutrition. And there's something between 26 and 42% of older care home residents who have malnutrition or are at risk of malnutrition. So a high proportion of those residents that are experiencing poor nutrition and certainly at risk of malnutrition. So that brings impacts, that brings sort of consequences. And as you can see from the slide there, a number of impacts in terms of impact upon muscle loss and muscle strength and weakness. That means that the person might have problems with their mobility, moving around their environment, which consequently will have an impact upon their activity if they're not moving around so much. It also puts that individual at risk of falls, which obviously might have increased their risk of admission to hospital, but also as a consequence of malnutrition, increased risk of respiratory infections, and in particular, urinary sort of tract infections, as well, which may mean a prescription of antibiotics or in worst case, admission to hospital. So what that means that there may be a longer recovery from that if that person is malnourished. Also, there may be increased risk of pressure sores, and managing those obviously means sort of more input from care. And consequently, that has huge impacts upon that person's quality of life. And whilst as a nation, we are living longer, but that doesn't always mean increased in quality of life, and certainly for those older people living in care homes. And ultimately, what that can mean is that can certainly impact upon quality of life. I mean, more admissions and also reduce their, longevity, leading to loss of life, as well. So many impacts, but ultimately, what this means is that certainly care home staff have a pivotal role, a vital role in the provision of good nutritional. And for those that do work in the care home sector, I'm sure you're aware of the current regulations. Regulation 14, Health and Social Care Act 2008, which highlights the importance of provision of good food and hydration for service users, and as a component of regulated activity in terms of the choice of suitable nutritious food and hydration to meet that person's needs, recognising requirements arising from that person's background, whether that's religion or cultural background, and ensuring, where necessary, ensuring that person eats appropriate amounts in terms of and quality as well to meet their needs. And recognising that it's not just about food, there are other ways that we can provide good nutrition support, whether that's parentally or enterally, or using sort of dietary supplements. The current guidance for sort of treating malnutrition, we have sort of current national guidelines from sort of NICE, which informs local regional pathways, and we have a national malnutrition sort of care pathways that care home providers can refer to and supported by. Fundamentally, that will include using food as a food first approach, and we've heard some lovely examples just now from Lexi and this morning around dietary counselling. How can we adapt meals to support food intake? How can we increase the nutritional value and density through food fortification, and without increasing portion sizes, which is particularly important for older people living in care homes who may have smaller appetites. And then the second line of approach to manage and treating malnutrition may be the use of oral nutrition supplements. So with that background in mind, we still nationally have a big problem associated with the management and treatment of malnutrition. In relation to oral nutrition supplements, it is a huge cost to the health and care provision, costing of the order of £14 million per month in England. Malnutrition contributes to massive health and social care costs, and for the UK that is estimated to be around, and probably much more now, at £3.5 billion per annum. And the cost of using ONS, sometimes they don't respond to a person's tastes or needs, can lead to high wastage. So we know that there is wastage associated with the use of ONS within care homes. We know there's been sort of few large trials in sort of care homes, and very few in the UK compared to the rest of the world, not only looking at nutrition, but other areas of how we can support older people within those environments. Very little evidence to support the effectiveness and cost effectiveness of ONS in older adults with at risk of malnutrition, and this responds to an NIHR, that's the National Institute of Health and Care Research, of government sort of funded research body. This came from a national study and published in Lancet, looking at the current state of play, the evidence for the use of ONS, not just in care homes, but in other hospital and community settings. And I really sort of recommend you have a look at that. And that was the findings were based on a national review, and based on, I think in the end, 11 studies. And from their review, they found only one UK study which examined the cost effectiveness in care homes, and certainly didn't onto any firm conclusions about the use of ONS. So taken together, clearly there's a need for much better research, robust research in care homes, and to provide new evidence to inform high quality, person-centred nutritional care. So we need, better evidence, better knowledge, better research to inform care provision, care staff, and how to improve the delivery of nutritional care using food and using ONS. So that really sort of underpins where myself and Mary got to. I think just under a year ago now, and NIHR put out a call to respond to the Thompson study I've just sort of highlighted. And both Mary and I, working, as you can see here from the logos at the bottom of this slide, working with researchers from other universities across the country and also other key stakeholders. So we've got a great interdisciplinary team to really look at this question and to answer this question: what is the clinical and cost effectiveness of ONS, oral nutritional supplements, and fortified food on quality of life? So quality of life is our key outcome in this study, recognising that that's so important for older people living within care homes, and certainly something that we can measure using validated tools such as EQ5D and dementia quality of life tools, but also looking at other nutritional outcomes and comparing that to routine practice in older care home residents. So the name of the trial is REFRESH, and as I said at the beginning, this is an acronym to highlight what we're doing here: nutrition interventions for malnourished older adults in care homes. So we're really excited about this trial. We will be starting in January 2025. It's a 4-year trial, the biggest of its kind, and I think it's fair to say will be a definitive trial, and certainly to date the biggest trial that NIHR has funded looking at nutrition support in care homes. We aim to recruit 90 care homes across England, totaling 1,530 residents identified at risk of malnutrition or having malnutrition. It will be a 3-arm cluster randomised control trial, meaning that we will recruit care homes, and care homes will be randomised into a group, and then residents will be receiving one of the following interventions. So food and provide oral nutrition supplements, fortified meals and drink, and then a third arm looking at usual routine care. As part of the study, we have a fantastic health economist who will be supporting the trial to undertake a cost effectiveness health economic evaluation, and we'll be also doing a mixed method using qualitative and quantitative sort of process evaluation sort of methodologies to understand how the intervention is working. So this is the website hosted by the University of Plymouth, but the collaborating universities will also be setting up their own web pages. But this is the front page of the REFRESH trial, and there's the website link at the top. So there's a few more details on there, and there'll be more details uploaded once we start the study, and how participants in care homes can engage in the trial. So for more information, and if there are any sort of care home providers or people have links with sort of care homes or want to know more about this really exciting trial, please do get in touch. There's the trial webpage, REFRESH, hosted by Plymouth. And always sort of happy to receive any queries or questions about the trial, and look forward to hearing from you. So I hope that's been helpful, Leslie.
Excellent. Look forward to following this further. This is going to be a great thing, isn't it? Really interesting. Things that we need to know, stuff we don't know.
Absolutely. And Leslie, just to say thank you for all your support, and certainly just to say thank you to the care homes that I've worked with over the years as well. This hasn't just happened overnight. It's come, through sort of, years of collaborative working, working together with, with partners. But this is, yeah, as I said, definitive trial, one of its kind, and a lot will come out of this. It's going to be a challenge.
Yes, I bet.
And if we miss anybody, please do shout, because this is a truly, collaborative trial, and the outcome, it will have it will have a major impact upon how we deliver nutritional care within care homes.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Jane. So anybody could email you when they're watching this later if they've got any concerns or questions to ask.
Or wish to get
Do you
involved.
want to be involved?
Yeah, or to contact the refresh. That's the trial email.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jane. Bye bye.